We meet the Bad Batch at the end of Season 7 of the Clone Wars. They rescue Echo with the help of the 501st, and then Echo decides to join the Bad Batch. And so the Bad Batch exists of Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Tech. They are genetically modified clones with desirable mutations, right? So they are just really good at what they do. The Clone Wars end, and it's Order 66, and Crosshair commits acts of Order 66, and everyone is like, why are you doing that, buddy? They go back to Kamino, and Crosshair pretty much gets his chip amplified, and he stays behind while everyone else leaves. While they're on Kamino, though, they meet a little girl named Omega, who is also a clone, completely unaltered. So the Bad Batch minus Crosshair, but plus Omega, are now traveling the galaxy, just trying to avoid the Empire because they're now on the run. While they're out in the wilderness, they end up running back into Cutlo Cain and his family, and he helps them to disappear. From there, Hunter decides, hey, he wants to pawn Omega off onto the Queens, and Cut's like, okay, sure, but then Omega's like, no, and Omega stays with the Bad Batch. Cut and his family get away, we don't see them again the rest of the season. We're probably not going to see them again, but maybe we will, who knows. And then the Bad Batch gets away further, and then they eventually make their way to Ord Mantell, and they meet this Trandoshan named Sid, who used to be a Jedi informant, and she owns a bar, and they just end up doing jobs for her. And so they spend the entire season running jobs for Sid, and they go on adventures along the way. At one point, Rex tracks them down, and Rex informs them about the inhibitor chips in their heads, and just like, well, Tech already knew, obviously, about the inhibitor chips and just didn't tell anyone about it. But then Rex helps them to remove them back on Braca. They go to Braca to get the chips removed because that's the only place they know where there's like reliable machinery to do it, because that's how Ahsoka took Rex's chip out at the end of Season 7 of the Clone Wars. While they're on Braca, somehow Crosshair is tipped off that they're there, and then they have like a little like altercation while they're there. But also altercation, Cad Bane shows up and kidnaps Omega, nearly kills Hunter. Omega thinks Hunter is dead, but he's not, and then Omega's just taken. Fennec Shand also shows up during this time, by the way. She's also trying to like track Omega down, and long story short, no one ended up getting Omega. Omega returned back with the rest of the Bad Batch. They're all good. Crosshair never really like regrouped with anyone. He has his own like elite squad of troopers with the Empire. I think one of them is probably like informing like Grand Admiral Rampart. He's doing his thing, and he hates clones, and that's all that's going on. There was a little arc on Ryloth in which they saw Hera Syndulla and her family, both Cham and Eleni, and we've never actually seen Eleni so far, so that was really cool. We met Captain Hauser there, the Baja Blast boy, who was really great, and oh my god, he defected as well, like with like his entire like group of boys. And Crosshair is there, and he's like, okay, well, you guys are gonna get like a court-martialed, and so they like take him in. Crosshair lets the Bad Batch escape because he doesn't miss. I swear by it. But that's that. They go on more adventures along the way, and then long story short, they end up on Darrow for an extraction to rescue Gregor, Clone Commando Gregor, because Rex is like, I need a favor, I got this guy, and it's Gregor. They rescue Gregor but lose Hunter in the process. Hunter falls off the side of a mountain and survives, but then he's taken in, and then it's Crosshair and Hunter, and they're back on Kamino, and Crosshair and Hunter have this like standoff, like, oh, you weren't loyal to me and you left me behind, and Hunter's like, pretty much the entire time. And then the entire batch goes back to Kamino, even though they know it's a trap, but they have to go anyway. And also Hunter promised to Omega, hey, you're never gonna have to like go back to Kamino, but they did, so that way they could save him. Anyway, Kamino gets evacuated, and then the Empire starts just raining hellfire on Kamino. The batch is still inside. They pretty much left Crosshair behind. Omega saves Crosshair, and then Crosshair saves Omega because, you know, he's her brother. And yeah, and then the Bad Batch is all there watching Kamino sink into the ocean, and then they give Crosshair the option to come with them, and he's like, and he just stays, and they leave him behind. And that's it. That was the Bad Batch Season 1. Tan We dies, by the way.